Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Fuller Kamara. Today we're in chapter 32, Reconciling Account. Reconciling account balances is crucial to ensure that the client's bank balances align with their financial data. By connecting the client's bank and using the reconciliation tool in QuickBooks Online Accountant, you can easily match transactions and reconcile their books. It is a best practice to reconcile account on a monthly basis to ensure that what the clients have in QuickBooks Online reflects the actual income, expense, or other cash movement and adjustment. So after reconciling the bank and QuickBooks Online, so the difference should normally be zero. Before you can do a reconciliation of account, make sure that you have categorized all the transactions in QuickBooks Online. So let's say if you have bank transactions in the bank feed, make sure you have categorized all the accounts in the bank feed before you can do a reconciliation, because QuickBooks Online don't match transactions that have been reconciled. So make sure all the transactions that should have been recorded have been recorded before you can do the reconciliation. So reconciliation normally can be done for credit card, also for checking account. So why do we do reconciliation? Reconciliation is part of the internal controls. Like whenever we audit clients, we always look out for controls. What are the controls that the clients have in place? So one of the controls that we normally look into is the bank reconciliation. So we want to see that the client has been doing their reconciliation on a monthly basis, because reconciliation is a detective control that will detect any errors in the transaction. Let's say if the bank record bank charges, then the clients will not know about those charges until they do reconciliation most of the time. Let's say if somebody make a direct deposit and deposit the money directly to the client's bank account, the client might not know, except if there is an automated notification, then the client will know about the transaction. But most of the time they will find out about those those deposits when they do the reconciliation. So that's the reason why it is always advisable to do a reconciliation, at least the bank reconciliation, at least on a monthly basis, because sometimes the client might have like other bank accounts. What we normally look into more are those operating accounts. If the client has like operating account, we want to make sure that there is a reconciliation of those accounts, even if the account balance is immaterial. In order for us to reduce our audit risk to an acceptably low level, we normally perform tests. We normally re-perform the bank reconciliation for those operating accounts, because as an auditor we normally have some procedures that we re-perform. Then we also have observations that we perform sometimes. So re-performance of the bank reconciliation is part of the audit procedure that we normally perform in most of the audits that we do. So that's the reason why before you can do any reconciliation, make sure the client has recorded all the transactions that they should have recorded, because that will mitigate the amount of difference. Because if the client failed to record transactions, whereas those transactions may have been posted in the bank, then those will lead to the difference or variance. Then sometimes the client might record transactions. Let's say they might pay checks to vendors, but those checks might still be outstanding. We want to make sure that all those outstanding checks have been reflected in our bank reconciliation. So that's the reason why we do reconciliation. So today let's look into now the bank reconciliation in QuickBooks Online, because this is a procedure which is normally performed manually. Some clients will perform this manually, whereas QuickBooks has simplified the process. If you have connected the bank account to your QuickBooks Online account, then you will be able to streamline this process as much as possible. So for our reconciliation today, we're going to use the training company that I created, which is just for this training, for this QuickBooks Online. We have gone through the bank feeds. If you haven't seen that video yet, I advise you watch that video before looking at this bank reconciliation. So you can see here in the bank feed we have all these transactions for review, category categorize transaction excluded. So you can see if you have already connected your bank account to your QuickBooks Online, it is easier to add transactions. So now we're just going to look into the bank reconciliation. So the bank reconciliation, you can access this bank reconciliation in 3 ways. So for the QuickBooks Plus account, which is the client account, you can access the bank reconciliation by going to transactions, previously banking, but because now QuickBooks has made some update. So now you go to transactions and then go to the reconcile, or you can go to settings and click reconcile. Whereas for the Pro Advisor account, which is the one we're going to use to access the reconciliation, you have 3 ways. Okay, you can access it from the accountant tools and then reconcile. You can also access the reconciliation by going to transaction and click reconcile. Then you can also access it from the gear icon and click reconcile. So these are the 3 ways you can access the bank reconciliation function. Okay, so now to reconcile an account, we can select the account from this account, the drop down arrow under the account. Then we select the account that we want to reconcile. So let's say credit card account like Visa, MasterCard, etc. We can select those accounts from this account section. So in this case, I will just select the checking. Then also you can see you have the summary and the history by account. So the history here will just show you when was the last time we did our reconciliation. So let's say if we select the checking, you can see if you select the reporting period, let's say all dates, you can see all the dates when the reconciliation has been performed for this specific account, then also we can say for the last 365 days. So if we say 365 days ago, which is for the year, just for 1 year, we can see all the reconciliation that has been performed. So let's say if you are taking a new client, this is an area also that will tell you if the client's books has been reconciled, because you will be able to see how many times the books has been reconciled. Because if the books have not been reconciled for a while, then that will tell you that there are issues with the books, because if there is no reconciliation, they might not be able to detect errors. Then you also have the summary. So as you can see, this is just the training account. This is not my Pro Advisor account. So this will give you a summary of the account, the type, then the ending balance, and then the date it was reconciled. So now let's go back to the reconcile. So now we can see we're about to reconcile our checking account. So currently we have 0 beginning balance, So now in order for us to reconcile an account, we need to know the ending balance from the bank statement. That is, we're not going to see any bank statement right now. Let's see if I can pull a sample. Let's see. So you can see this is an example of a bank statement. So this is not what we're going to use, but I'm just trying to show you. So you can see the closing balance, right? This is the ending balance. This is the ending balance as per the bank statement. You can see the opening balance. This is the beginning balance as per the bank statement. But what we are interested in is just this closing balance. So when you go to the bank statement, you just extract the closing balance as per bank statement and then look out for the date. For every month, the last day of the month always will be the period end. That is the end date, the bank statement. Let's say we are in October. So the bank statement that we have access to right now will be September 30. So it will be 9/30/2023. So that's how to find the balance. That was just to clarify. So now you can see the beginning balance is 0. So this beginning balance, we don't have to enter anything here. This is pulling from, let's say if we had a prior year a prior month reconciliation, what was on the ending balance from our prior month will be the beginning balance for this month. So now the ending balance here will be the amount that we see on the bank statement, which is 400 in this case, and then the date. So today we are in October, but the bank statement that we're going to use was actually for September. Okay, so here we can add like enter service charges or interest earn if necessary. Let's say if there was a service charge in the bank statement that we know may have not been added to the QuickBooks Online, we can add it here. If we've connected our bank account, these service charges would have pulled directly from the banking center. So as long as we've done our categorization of our transaction, then we may have already added the service charge in that case. But if we are adding our transaction manually without going through the banking center, then it's possible that we have to add the service charge in this account, because those service charge will only show in the bank statement but not in our books. So that's the reason why we always have to add it if it has not been added through the banking center. So now once we've added all the, if let's say some checking accounts will earn interest. So if we've earned any interest, that interest will only show up in the bank statement. We won't be able to see it until we receive the bank statement, or maybe we look at our transaction feed. If we have access to our online banking, we can see that, but most of the time we have to reconcile our book. So now once we've entered all the information that we need, we can click start reconciling. Okay, so we currently have a difference of 400, right? So this difference of 400, after reconciliation, this balance should be 0. So this is what you should always focus on. If this balance does not net to 0, meaning there is an issue, so you always have to make sure the balance here, the difference, is 0. If it is not 0, meaning there was an issue. Let's say also there are instances wherein the beginning balance in our reconciliation might not be correct. Then we might have like this beginning balance, so we'll get a pop-up message that will tell us that the beginning balance that we have is inaccurate, or maybe it's wrong, whatever the message will be. But yeah, you will get a pop-up. If, for example, if after making our reconciliation last month, then somebody go back and delete a transaction in our previous month, that is the month of August, then we'll end up with issues. Now to reconcile, we can see here we have the statement ending balance. This is the balance as per the bank statement. You can see the statement close date. This is the 9/30/2023. So we're doing a reconciliation for September, the last day of September 2023. So that's why you are seeing that balance here. So you can still see the beginning balance is 0. Then the payment here currently is showing 0. The cleared balance is also showing 0. Then the deposit. So payment, meaning what we pay to vendor or whoever the person might be, whether be it to taxing agency, whatever payment we made, it will show here as we continue to click here the reconciliation. Whereas for deposit, it will show the amount in the credit, the amount deposited to the bank. Okay, then you can see here you have the option to save for later, edit info. Let's say we want to change the beginning balance or the ending date, we can change all that. So we have that option to make the update here, but in this case we're not going to change. You can also say save for later. Let's say we run into issues, we cannot finalize this reconciliation today, we can save for later. So once we come back, we can continue or resume our reconciliation. So you can also say close without saving. Let's say we want to close without saving, so we can close without saving by clicking this. Then also finish now. Never click finish now if you know that we still have a difference, because you see, if you click finish now, meaning our ending balance will not reconcile and we will run into issues when we go back to reconcile the following month. So it is a best practice to make sure you have 0 difference before you click finish now, because you wouldn't want to get issues or errors. Then also you can see, if you just want to see just the payment, you just click payment, you can see just the payment. If you want to see just the deposit, you can just click deposit. So now you will be able to see that. But if you want to see all the transactions, you can click that. Then sometimes you also have the filters here. You can filter whatever, if you are looking for a specific payee, or maybe you want to filter for a specific transaction type, you can do all that filter filtering here. Then if you want to see the status, whether cleared or not cleared transaction, you can do all that filter and then click apply. Okay, you can also clear all the filters. So if we have a payment, so payments are something that was debited in the bank statement. So this reconciliation tab is showing exactly what the bank statement is showing. So you can see the normal double entry for the cash. You can see the cash will have a debit balance and then credits for anything that is reducing the cash balance. So but in this case, our bank reconciliation, is reflecting how the bank looks at transactions. That's why you can see here the payments are in the debit side from our journal entry, even though they don't say debit or credit, but payments are being debited in the bank statement, whereas deposits are being credited. So that's why you're seeing the payments, they are in the debit side, even though they don't say debit, but you can see them on the left, whereas the credit, this is a credit, even though they don't say credit, but it is on the right. So this is kind of like making it easier for us to compare directly to our bank statement. So if you have a debit of 500 here, you look in the debit side of the bank statement to see if this amount was there. Yep. Now we also have a credit of 1000. We'll look in the credit side of the bank statement to see if that amount was there. Yep. So now we have a debit of 100. We look in the bank statement to see if that amount is there. Yep. So now you can see we have reconciled our account. So now the difference is 0. You see, so you have the bank statement ending balance, and then the cleared balance is 400. The bank statement ending balance. So now we just click finish now. So once we click finish, we have completed our reconciliation. So now you can see this is now our beginning balance. The 400 is now our beginning balance. Let's say if we go now to the month of October, let's say the 10/31st 2023, now this will be our beginning balance. Then we can just enter the ending balance for the month of October and the ending dates for the month of October. Once we enter those dates as per the bank statement, then we can proceed with our reconciliation. So now if we look at the history by account, if we want to see our reconciliation history, you see previously it was blank, but now we can see that we have the history here. We know we did a reconciliation for the statement ending 9/30/2023, and then it was reconciled on October 2nd 2023. The ending balance was 400, changes 0. Attachment, if we want to attach any bank statement, we can do that. We can also view the report. So normally, as a best practice, some people will just attach the bank statement so that if somebody want to review, it is easier to do that. Okay, so that's how to do bank reconciliation. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like if you like the video. See you in the next video. Thank you.